All right. So I think I might be on air. It says I'm broadcasting to YouTube. So if anybody wants to go look at like the Facebook event and click it and see if the video looks okay, that would be awesome for someone to check that out. I've never used it before. I probably should have maybe tried one before today, but it is what it is.
We're happy we do it live.
We do it live. All right, so basically, most of you, I think, have been to a Maine Civic Hack Day before. The goal of the event is to try and create a little civic goodness with our technology skills. So everybody here has some sort of skill that I'm going to harvest and turn into some sort of excellence. That's what the little cards that were handed out to you were all about. I don't know everybody. I don't know what you're good at. I have tasked Jamie. She's our official butterfly to kind of circulate around and meet all of you and pollinate your ideas to other people. And so the goal is just to kind of tell her what you're working on, what you're interested and what you're good at, and she's going to try to bring that back to me. Sounds like we are actually, in fact, broadcasting live. So that's pretty awesome. It's on the Maine Civic Hack Day Facebook event. Is it the wrong, did I put it on the wrong one, probably?
I got it.
Yeah, I need a Wi-Fi.
Justin has a light for everybody. Don't forget to set the Wi-Fi logins.
The main MCHD is
MCHD.
is AP right there.
Oh, you have your own AP? You have a name in it? You have like a super special name.
Yeah.
Please share it with me.
All right. Okay, we're actually broadcasting again. Stop taking over my video, Sean. Killing me here. I don't know how to control this stupid
It
thing.
actually does like.
Can I control it?
I don't know.
Must be able to. Stop talking, Sean. I'm killing you, bro.
I have a new.
Anybody who's using it, if they just need it, then they can pick them up.
This is the event.
All right. Okay, so anyway, the idea is just to record this for posterity anyway. We're going to stick it on a whole bunch of websites and show off what we worked on. And I can hear myself, it's weird. So as I said, Jamie's going to circulate to visit you guys. I have one presenter, and I knew I was going to mess up your name. Laura. Laura's going to come up and talk about a project that she wants to work on, which is, I think, really interesting and totally within our capability to crush out an awesome solution. That's the one that you saw, Chris. The other projects that I have are one for 211, which is, it's not really for 211, it's for another group, but we're going to be categorizing the data that 211 uses and sort of making it searchable and accessible and maybe extending it a little bit for other people. We also have these really awesome shirts, which Linear Art Studios, Andrea Bolio was kind enough to do our art sponsorship for the event. We also have on the back, we have some advertisers who purchased from us an ad. We have a cool CD, which Jen, the Happy Geek, has put together for us all with some really nifty nerdcore albums and broken robots and all kinds of nifty stuff on here. I haven't listened to the album, so I'm excited to do that. We'll probably have it playing on loop somewhere in the building today. And the shirts are $10. The CD, I think $7 was what we came up with for an idea, but all that money goes back to the Hacktivate program, which is sort of the legal entity that's sponsoring all of this and making it happen and keeping me out of trouble 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's got an after-school program, which we aren't sure where we're taking that yet. Ben and Chris are both board members. In fact, Ben's vice president. I'm the president of Hacktivate. And if you need anything today, I hope to be the lubricant in your lives. If you need a palm greased, I'm your guy. If you need a door opened or someone battered with 50 emails, I will find a way to make that happen. So I'm just like a facilitator and an observer, and I'm going to try to coordinate a little bit. And if anybody has ideas, please bring them to me. And with all of that said, I think I would like to get Laura up here under the spotlight and see what she's got to say and how that's going to work. No questions so far, right? Okay, I must be doing something right. Hi.
Hey.
So this is the
Okay.
in your pocket,
Yep.
and then this is the lapel.
Okay.
And you're on YouTube too, just so you know.
Great.
Everyone can hear
Hi.
you say so.
Okay.
Lots of
That's
those.
lovely. That makes me feel really comfortable. So the project, I do research and evaluation at the RISE Center at University of Maine. So it's the Center for Research in STEM Education. And we've been working for the past 4 years with teachers all in multiple counties. So right now we're working with, I said it again, with 80 teachers, more than 80 teachers in middle school and high school who are teaching science. And they are really working hard to improve science education for students. So they've done a lot of reforms in the classroom to make science a lot more interesting than it was for me when I went through science class, and probably for many of you too. I know I was kind of bored to death and was really interested in science, but science class was not a good place to be if you're interested in science at some points. But these teachers are trying to make it a lot more exciting for students. And one of the things they're really being pressured to do is to test students and to show that students are learning certain kinds of concepts. But those aren't always the things that are actually important for them to know to become scientists or to be good at learning science. Those are sort of box checking activities. So what we've been trying to do is provide teachers with some other measures that actually measure science learning in a more meaningful way, and then get the teachers some data so they can use that to talk to their administrators and show that it's a good program, but also so they can inform their own instruction and actually get an idea of what students are learning and what's going well in the classroom, and use that to modify what they're doing. So we've really, over time, we've sort of built up this demand for teachers wanting to get classroom data, and we've created some assessment instruments that they can give before they teach something and after they teach to see how effective the instruction was for students. But we've really been struggling to get the data back to them in a way that's useful for them. And for the most part, these are teachers who maybe didn't study a lot of science themselves. They sort of get pushed into doing science education because there's a lack of science teachers. So many of them are not really familiar with looking at data or using data to, answer questions. So we've been doing a lot of professional development with them, but we need some way for them to have kind of self-serve access to the data. And we've created these common instruments that all of these 80 teachers are using. And we collect all of the data and we try to put it back to teachers in professional development. So we need the data to come into some kind of a central location where we can get access to it as researchers and to support the teachers. But then the teachers also need access to it. And right now, I'm sort of the one person who's been trying to funnel all of the data back to the teachers, and it gets to be way too much to try to download the data, analyze it, send back something meaningful to the teachers. And so I can't do it fast enough to be useful for them. And my position is potentially going away because I'm grant funded anyway. So the teachers, these teachers that we're working with and potentially other teachers in the state need some way to get access to this data in a way that makes sense to them. So I don't know how to do that, but I'm sort of wondering if somebody can help with that today. And I'm also curious about the idea of having, aside from being able to get sort of reports back to teachers that would be useful for them, I'm curious about whether we could have some kind of a data dashboard type thing where some of the data would actually get put up in presentations, and if that could be automated in some fashion so that people could, click on some of the data, see what students are learning, and that could be a tool for teachers. And I think there's just so much pressure on teachers that takes away from the classroom instruction, and the more we can solve some of those problems for them, the more they can actually work with students in ways that are useful.
Another thing that we mentioned, we talked about this earlier, was that the data needed to be anonymized,
Right.
that before it can be shared back.
Yeah.
And I think that would be an important, important piece of the project for whoever's working on it, is the sort of recognition of identifying info and
Right.
sort of removing that from the project.
Yeah.
The other thing that Chris had mentioned when we looked over it was allowing the sorry, they can hear me. It's actually really good. Was allowing the parents of the students to, in some way, sort of claim their child's data for themselves, and to see, what sort of research it's going into, and who maybe has access to it, and that kind of thing was just an interesting spin on it, so that we could maybe push that out as a branch or a community outreach kind
Yeah.
of thing for the whole project. So anyway, that's the demonstrator, or the presentation. If does anybody have questions for Laura? I'm sure she'll be floating around today to try and collect information from you, or ideas, or answer questions you might have about the project.
So you have the data set available?
I could give a data set because of the anonymity. I can't give the full data set with identifying information, but I can give students' first names and responses to the test, so you could have an example of pre-post to see what kind of data we're working with, if that would work. And we could figure out, if you needed something, I could try to figure out a way to give it to you, but I do have a lot of data.
Could there be like a fake data set that we could use too? Like just fake values that are similar to the actual?
Well, I can give you the real values. It would just, the fields for like first name and last name, maybe we could put some dummy data in there.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the challenges, I think, is the matching of pre to post. That's something that I usually do manually, since we're often trying to actually match this. We want the data from the same students pre and post, because when we talk about learning, if you start throwing other students in there, that's a whole other set of variables that you're adding in. So really, you want to be looking at the same population pre and post, so that you can say, well, the students learned this much. But that ends up being a time-consuming thing to actually match those students.
There are existing databases or sites that you would integrate into?
No. So basically, the system right now is me and Foster, and Play, and that's the whole system. So, and I don't know if there's anything. I mean, one thing that would be helpful is if somebody researched, is there anything like this out there? I don't know of anybody else, any other state that's trying to do this. As far as returning it, I know of lots of school administrations that are trying to do it for their purposes, but not actually returning data to classroom teachers in this sort of community-based way.
So one of the things that Ben has suggested time and again is that we need a clear call to action. We need to ask you guys for something specific. Okay, so today I'm going to be trying to kind of mesh you guys into groups that work on particular segments of whatever problems we have. If we do have more than one project that we're going to work on, which I think probably we'll have a couple groups. Part of the collection of information from everybody is so that I know what you're good at, and what we want to try to do is get this online today and tomorrow. So we want to see something delivered that's usable today or tomorrow. That's the major goal that we have to get done. We have lots of skills in web programming. We have lots of skills in data analysis. We have lots of skills of different programming languages. Everybody has something to contribute, and I'm going to figure out what it is, and I'm going to just pull it out of you. So what else do I need to say? There's more. I didn't really prepare this part. I was just going to wing it. So far, so good. I came up with that pollinating thing like on the spot. Well, that's pretty much the presentations. What do you have anything that you would like to add?
We have a few people here who are working on projects.
Yes.
Who I think would be of interest to many of the other people here. I
Okay.
don't know if this has been done before, but it might be good to make that available.
I could point them out, and maybe they can just tell me what it is they're working on.
Yeah.
Who do you know of that's working on something?
I know Derek is working on something very interesting right now. And also Dennis is working on something very interesting right now. And
Okay.
They both, you know, they're both involved in it quite heavily. And I know those are the two. I'm sure I'm forgetting some others, but I know there's some very interesting projects there.
You should ask for show of hands. Who came here with a project in mind to work on?
Excellent. Yes, good idea.
Anybody? You have a project in mind? Okay, cool. Can you tell me about it?
Sure, I would love to.
Come on up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the
Yeah, you're the next contestant on. Come up with a really funny way to say something.
Everyone do that song. The band is made. Yay.
Okay.
Microphones. Hi guys, I'm Chris Bond. I came all the way from Portland, and I've been a Maine hacker for a long time. So OG, OH. Richard hack stuff. Hands in pockets, no. So a couple of years ago, I created a mobile application called Invasive Species, really creative name, to help identify and report instances of invasive aquatic plants in Maine lakes or bodies of water, I guess. So invasive species are a huge problem worldwide, but also Maine specifically. There's flora that's an issue, so like those aquatic invasive plants. If there are no natural predators, you know, these things just go out of control and like eat up all the, well, I guess plants don't eat things, but you get the point. They overrun and make things bad in bodies of water. What's that? Kill all the plants. That's the name of my project. But no, there are some fauna too. So like the green crab in Casco Bay is a really big issue right now because I think it's Asian in origin. I could be more specific there, but I don't know a lot about it. So there have been a lot of creative solutions to invasive species. But two things that I'm really interested in is one, taking that old Android application and making it, you know, halfway decent, because it was terrible. It was built on like Android 2.3, and
Were the buttons named button 1 and button 2?
yes.
That's how
Get out.
you're in charge.
No, that's great. Actually, mobile developers of any kind are welcome. But specifically, I'm really interested in Android because that's all I won't even say good with because I haven't tried it in a while. But I have Android Studio installed on my computer at home, but I can reinstall it on the computer I have here too. So, but yeah. So my two things I'd like to do if there's enough interest, or we could just do one of them if there's enough interest, is recreate the Android app, like I said. The second half of it would be like proving to the people of Maine that invasive species are a problem using data that we find online in a ton of different ways. So like some sort of data visualization, some sort of dashboard, just to you know, show why and how these things affect Maine financially and ecosystematically. There's a better word for that, but I think that's it.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Oh gosh, I pulled the thing off. That's not how these work.
It's dead, Jim.
Bloop, bloop. There you go.
Stick it on your nose. That's where it belongs, right? All right. So, anybody else want to talk about a project? Derek, do you want to just tell me what the broad idea of your project is? Like 2-word summary? No. No idea. Okay. And yeah, Dennis, you have a project too that you're working on, or do you have a project that you want us to work on? Can you describe it briefly?
Briefly, it's a display of goods to go into the Alabama location, and it will be in shape like a little. So
they're wooden cutouts that I see? Okay.
And
to help.
the cutouts now at the University of Maine at the IMRC.
Okay.
But I also wanted sound through an Arduino or something like that. So when the bird would based in the location, it would sing the song that is appropriate for that bird.
Okay, so helping to identify bird species for the Audubon.
Yes.
Okay.
But education.
Education. Okay. Teaching people how to identify them. Cool. All right. So that sounds like we have a few projects that are interesting. I have a couple that are like I said, there's just a little blurb and nobody ever got back to me when I emailed them to ask about it. So there's at least one other interesting project that we could work on having to do with the 211 / locating some sort of services in Maine. So if you're familiar with 211, it's like a number that you call to say, I need elder care or I need drug counseling, and you speak to an operator and they tell you where to locate someone locally. Well, I'd like to take that and sort of modernize it. Just, I don't know, maybe it's an IVR system, voice recognition. But anyway, it's antiquated and it's terrible to use, so I tried it. So that's it. That's the presentation. Does anybody have questions? All right. So one last thing, just a little bit of rules of the facility. We can't prop doors because it'll set off alarms. If you need to smoke or use any tobacco, you've got to go to your car or off campus. Great Skates parking lot is probably fine. It's right there. And after, at some point tonight, the exterior doors will all be locked. I'm planning to be here until tomorrow when we'll do some wrap-up presentation type stuff. So if you go out, have a plan for getting back in. is I guess the idea. All right. Yeah, that is not propping the door, right? Because right. When the alarm goes off, I'm going to wake up and be very grouchy. So.
Solution. Let's break out the alarm so we can prop the door.
Now that's the kind of civic hacking I want to see. All right, that's everything, guys. I'm gonna. Oh, go ahead.
Last year we worked. I think it was last year. We worked in the snowplow.
Yep.
Tracking.
Yep.
And the more I think about snowplow or buses,
yep,
school buses, the more I think that's a good idea.
Could be an interesting, like an Uber for.
If that could be made into something that I could put in my pocket.
Yep.
As a bus driver or something, and send it out where people can identify where I'm at. So the students are standing out for the bus, not knowing where they are.
Right.
And if you could make a total package that we can say, here's the package,
Here's
all
the,
you have to do is load it on your
yeah, stick it on the bus.
Android and wait till you got it.
Okay, that has actually some very interesting options there. One other thing, last thing, GitHub. I would really like to get everything that we do today encapsulated in like a GitHub group for the day, and we'll just check it out and check it in, and all of the changes that we make will be published in there. Go ahead. Yes, I hope so.
Okay.
With like a folder for like 2015 and
Well, last year we just had individual repositories for each project.
yep, that should be fine.
Okay. Just have a repository have 2015 or something.
Sure. Yep. So if you need access to the GitHub repository, please touch base with me and I'll figure something out.
I need Subversion.
Actually, no. Don't worry about it. I know you're joking. I know you're joking, but GitHub actually supports Subversion commits. So probably, yeah. Actually, I think it does. All right. All right, that's it. I'm going off air. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, everyone, for coming.